Yo, what's good, man? So today I kind of want to talk about why I believe in God pretty much, because I feel like there's a lot of stuff you can say about like science, and like if you really want to get philosophical, you can talk about like morality and a lot about humans, how we don't seem like we have much of a soul sometimes. But I kind of want to just say my opinions on that, you know. Um, I don't know a lot yet, right? I'm only 17. I'm not like a fountain of wisdom, you know what I'm saying? But if you want a fountain of wisdom or like you want a guy that knows his stuff, go to this guy I'm Beggar. It's all caps, no spaces, just I'm Beggar. That guy, he's on YouTube. He's actually a blessing, bro. He's sick. But yeah, I was pretty much gonna say like I don't know, I think a creator just makes sense to me. To be honest with you, like I don't really know. I mainly like most people, not everyone, know the fine-tuned universe theory or whatever, um, which is pretty much the universe being as it is with people and an Earth and planets and breathable air and all this stuff is it's actually incomprehensible how small the chance of that happening is. It's like if you were to flip a quarter and it lands heads 15 quintillion times. It's just it's unbelievable, right? Um, and I really think that's important, because to say that the universe just is because it just it just was or has been, and we just got lucky. I feel like that's ignorant, in my opinion. Like everyone has their beliefs, but I think it's ignorant, right? Because if everyone in the world, or sorry, if you have a chance to win $1 billion or $1 million, right? And someone says, okay, you can either have the smallest conceivable chance of winning or the biggest or the chance that says much more simply, like, this is how it did happen or this is what you want to choose if you want to win. Um, you would pick that choice. You would not pick the one in a quintillion chance or whatever, right? And I think people do that now with like religion and stuff is because we don't like it. We don't like the rules, they're not comfortable, right? Like I'm personally a Christian, I think I might explain, I don't know yet, about why I think Christianity is the true religion. But essentially, I think there's so many rules, and the bar is set so high for us by our God, right? By Jesus, right? I think the bar is so high, and we don't like knowing that we aren't good enough, because we're not. We're not, right? We just aren't. Plain and simple. You're not good enough for heaven. Um, you literally have to be perfect if you want to be good enough, right? And I feel like we don't like having to rely on someone else to help us. People don't like needing help from others, right? People don't like having to understand that they can't do it on their own, and so I feel like a lot of people decide to start like thinking all these different things, and that's totally fine. That's just part of human nature, right? But it's just I don't know. I feel like it's so ignorant. There's so many rules. You can't live your life in all these pleasures and stuff, right? But honestly, I think people like like girls or romantic relationships or money and drugs and alcohol and all these things, all popularity. I feel like we don't like having to with I can't remember the word, but like stay away from that, not do that. So, and we don't like rules. No one likes rules. This is just a fact, no one really likes rules. Some rules are really good, right? Some rules like we obey like social contract type of theory thing. We obey them because like we might not like it all the time, but they're good for us. Rules are good for you. And it's the same way with like religious rules and stuff. Like we don't like them, but they're there and we have to follow those. you know? And I just think that the world, when you look at it, right? When you look at it, it's just so obvious that it's not on accident, you know? Like, there's so many things that you can question. You know, you can say, well, but morality seems so subjective. And I agree with that, you know? But there's also so much we don't know. Like, I feel like it's hard to comprehend that we are here, you know, and we've done everything ourselves by our own doing, and the universe is the way it is on itself. Because it just is, you know? Like, do you realize, like, some of you might have taken biology before in, like, high school or something? You know, maybe you are. But I remember, like, right now, I'm in high school, and we're learning about, I'm in AP Bio, junior year, and it's so complex. You know, I thought photosynthesis was just, you know, like normal. I don't know, it's just photosynthesis, you know? But something as um elementary as photosynthesis, something we've learned since I think yeah, elementary school, is so incredibly complex. I mean, it's crazy, you know? There's so many processes. There's so much fine tuning. You know, like I just think it's crazy to think that that happened on accident, right? Um and I think it's really nice to um have a God, right? Cuz science can't answer everything. I feel like we want it to. We hope it does cuz it can disprove all the things we don't like. But it just that's how it is, you know? It's not we don't get to choose what is and what isn't. Only one person does, right? Um, like for example, math. We all know math, whether the universe exists or whether it doesn't exist. Math is true. Two plus two is two, no matter. Or, bro, uh, two plus two is four, not two, bro. Anyways, sorry. Um, but two plus two will be four, no matter what. It doesn't. Nothing will change that ever. It's true, right? Meaning it is. It's permanent. You know, it's not. We had to have discovered math. We didn't create it, right? Because if we created math, how could we create something so permanent and so flawless pretty much? Uh if we ourselves have no conceivability of that, right? Like in the Bible it says God's like perfection is we can't even begin to comprehend it, right? Like we just can't understand something like that. You know, even from a scientific standpoint, your brain, like we know that we can't um if we haven't like you can't imagine a new color, for example, right? Because it's just your brain has never seen that before, right? It has no idea. And it's like that with something like math, you know, something that's like true no matter what and infinite. Uh, it's we can't create that, you know. We have to have discovered it, but like someone has to have created math, right? I mean, math is math. I don't really know what else to say. Like I feel like it's so hard to understand that math is just is, right? Something so incredibly complex. Something that the entire universe revolves around. Or is yeah, pretty much follows its laws, you know. I think it has to have been created. Um and the only person that could create that is a god of some kind, you know. But yeah, I that's really it. I mean, I really think that the reason that we reject a god is because we don't like the rules that it gives us. We don't like the idea of not being good enough. Because we want to believe, trust me, we always want to believe, like, oh, nope, I did this on my own. I'm good at this. But, you know, like the Bible says, or the Bible just, basically, I don't want to say this is biblically quoted, though. I want to say that. I don't, it might be, but it's not, I'm not saying this because it is, right? Don't assume it is, right? But basically, you can either, from a Christian standpoint, you can either do something with God or without him. You can do it like something happens because you were with God or because you weren't, you know? It's one of the two, you know? And people say, well, I'm doing so good in life, you know? Everything's so good. I don't need God. But the world, it won't matter what you did in 1,000 years. It will not matter at all, right? It doesn't matter. The world is going to keep going on. Sun is going to keep rising, whether you pass your pre-calc class or not, or your Calc BC class, or your English class that your teacher's giving way too many essays, and that doesn't really fit the way that you think, right? There's all these things. You have to understand that it doesn't matter. It really just won't matter in the future. It matters to you, matters to the people around you. But in 100 years, no one's gonna remember you or the people around you. No one will. And I think that when we think about it like that, from that standpoint, we have to understand that something has to matter, right? Because if that's true, then why does it matter? Why? Because there's something else. There's something else that governs what is and what isn't, right? Because, like, God, right? What you did on earth, your relationship with Jesus, how you served others, right? How you followed the Bible, that is going to matter, right? Because heaven is going to be there. God is the end all be all, right? Yeah, I mean, there's really just I don't think there's really any way around it, right? And, yeah, like, I'm not sure. I'm doing this in one take because I want it to be like what I'm genuinely thinking. I don't want it to be more planned out. I want it to just speak from the heart here. So I'm not sure if this is gonna be a nothing sandwich. I really don't. But I hope it made some kind of sense. Um, I just Yeah, that's pretty much it, really. It's so nice to think of having a friend that does care, right? Because you, no one has ever had a perfect friend. Nobody. But people aren't perfect. I feel like this is something that no matter what you believe, you can agree on. People are not perfect, right? You've never had a perfect friend. I've never had a perfect friend. You've never had a perfect parent. No one has, right? They can be good, but they're not perfect, you know? And if everything has to have something, right? I mean, no, sorry, I took that. It's hard to explain. I think I'm gonna cut this part out. Um, Pretty much, what am I trying to say? It's just so. I don't like. I don't like the perspective. I feel like a lot of people will. I saw a graph one time. I was in my philosophy class and someone wrote on the board this little like Punnett square type of thing, you know, four squares in like one box, and then you write like the condition on both sides, and there's two for each square, right? And it was pretty much like God exists, God doesn't exist. Um, and then I don't remember it super well, but basically the gist of it was that you are believing in this because it uh because it has to be true, right? And I think that's important. You don't want blind faith. You don't want to just believe something because you feel like it, right? But the reason I don't like that outlook, because that's not, the Bible tells you, that's not the kind of mentality you want. You want to be a Christian because of your relationship with God, with Jesus. You know, like, yeah, like you don't have that mentality of like what could or I want to go to heaven, right? Because that's selfish, right? That's more pleasure, right? I mean, I'm reading a book in English, or I just read a book. I'm about to write an essay on it called Brave New World. And in Brave New World, um, it's pretty much a society, and they've embraced the idea of like just pleasure. You know what I'm saying? Like they have everyone belongs to everyone in like a sexual manner, right? They do drugs, tons of them, right? They've engineered the perfect drug. You know, they made social classes, and they grow the kids. Like being a mother or father is like weird in this society. It's not okay. They like have them in like they have like a factory kind of thing. I don't know. They make people, right? And they condition them. They will put like alcohol in their blood surrogate, right? And they'll have different social classes based off that. Alpha plus are like they're taller, they're broader, they're smarter, right? And then like the lowest epsilon is they're nonverbal. They're totally nonverbal. And then there's more classes in between, of course. And basically these kids, they condition them and stuff. And they are just all about pleasure. It's all they care about. It's all they worry about. But I feel like when you look at that society, the message in that novel was that that isn't what brings happiness, you know? There's this guy, Helmholtz, right? And basically, it was said that he's like the man, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's got broad shoulders. All the women want him. He has a really great job. He's him, you know what I'm saying? Um, that was a nice flipper set. But, what was I gonna say? Um, there's just no he's talking to this other guy Bernard about how that isn't what he wants. He wants passion in his life. That he's realized that means nothing, you know. Um, and I feel like that's really the message of the novel is that this like pleasure stuff where we're heading, because I think the world is heading there. It's pretty much already there to be honest. But he's saying it isn't what we're looking for. Our soul needs something more, you know. And I'm not saying that's easy. I'm not saying that's easy at all. Like the guy's talking to Bernard, he basically he's not very liked. He's kind of weird, right? And because of that, he sees the world through a different scope, you know? And he's talking about how like these alpha pluses, which is the highest class and stuff, they're just they're so meaningless, you know? They care about all these vain type of things and stuff, right? But it's why I'm saying this is because it's not easy, is because eventually he like kind of gets lucky with something and pretty much he gets super popular. Like he gets all the women he's wanted now. He gets a lot more money. Everyone likes him. And then he changes his mind completely. He just starts indulging in that, right? And that was to show that it's not an easy task, right? Like our desires are very strong, you know? Um, but I feel like it's important to realize that it doesn't matter, right? Because I feel like we all, I'm pretty much quoting this guy. Well, no, this is a very common. We all have a God-shaped hole, all of us. Um, you know, like if you're lonely, you know, I'm telling you right now, you can get all the friends in the world. You can get the best grades in the world, and it's never enough, right? There's another thing I feel like is pretty commonly agreed on is that contentment is full contentment is impossible. We always want more. We always want more of something, right? Like that's what people OD, you know, they want more. You know, and I know that's like brain chemicals and stuff, but you get the point, right? We always want more. And I feel like that's because we have our physical desires and needs, right? But we also have the spiritual ones. And God is those spiritual desires, you know, and you want that. And we need that, you know? And we can try to fill that hole, right? It's like the it's like the little things you get for a really young child. And it's basically like you put the circle in the square, you put the triangle in the Wait, what am I saying? Oh my gosh, you put the circle in the circle hole and the square won't fit in that and stuff like that, right? Basically, we can try to fill this God-shaped hole. We can try to put the triangle into the circle. And, you know, maybe you can like get it stuck in the hole and you don't like you're like it's pretty much full, you know, I don't really notice it, but it's still it doesn't fit. It's not right. Right? I messed up 4%. Um, you know, I think it's like that with us and our belief, you know? Um, there's just no we need a spiritual thing. We need a spiritual outlet or whatever you want to call it, right? And we can't get that any other way, right? Because God is the spiritual. God, there's nothing like that's the spiritual, right? And I think I'm going to talk about this. Is probably going to be I think I'm like off the rails right now. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. I was talking about like why I believe in God, but I don't I don't even know where I am anymore. I'm just kind of talking. I'm yapping, bro. I'm a yapper. I'm definitely a yapper. But the reason I believe in God, or I mean Christianity, is because I think it's just so okay. Well, I'll start with physical. There is okay. I think, in my personal opinion, the main like type of religion that is um I don't want to use the word competitive, but it's the only word I can think of. With Christianity is Islam, in my opinion, right? Because Jesus was definitely a real person. That's almost undeniable, right? He was definitely a real person. There's so many historical records of him, right? But in Islam, pretty much says that he wasn't God, right? There's also Judaism and stuff, right? Which pretty much just rejects what Jesus was saying. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but essentially Islam. The main reason I just immediately cross it off is because it's set. The book is written 600 years after Christ. You know, you get this guy Muhammad who just out of nowhere he just goes in a cave and he's like, dude, yep, you guys were wrong. Same with like Mormonism, same with a ton of religions. It's just this guy has a vision, or this woman has a vision, right? Oh, it's pretty much all guys back then. But they have a vision, you know? And Christianity is, I feel like that's the only one that talks about eyewitness. It doesn't talk about, like, in the Bible, it literally says, I'll put the verse on screen, but it says, we've seen with our eyes, we've heard with our ears, you know? And an eyewitness is like, that's what you want for an investigation, right? You don't want some guy saying he saw this in a cave, right? You want someone saying, no, I literally watched this. I watched this happen. You want multiple people. That's even better, right? And that's what the Bible is, you know? None of these other ones, the other ones are all about um, a vision. There's no eyewitness, you know? And Christianity is eyewitness, right? And then what I was going to say is Islam is set 600 years after Christ, which is just, there's a 600-year gap in time. And 600 years can do a lot with history. You know, and there's a lot about like tampering with the Bible and stuff. I personally just say, well, if this is the word of God, it really is. He's just not going to allow that to happen. He's not going to allow that, you know, for the actual Bible itself to be corrupted like that. That's how I think of it. Is this right? Oh, crap. But yeah, I think Christianity just makes more sense, you know, and I think it's so brilliant the way it puts it. Like, we just aren't perfect. I think that's so obvious that we need someone to help us because we are just so terrible. We're just terrible, dude. Like, if you were to, would you ever want, imagine you walk to work or school, you know, and you have a screen going above your head and it's everything you're thinking. I would like actually, I would rather like, I would do a lot for that to not happen, you know? Like, I would do a lot, go to great measures, because you don't want anyone seeing what's in that head of yours. You want nobody to see that, right? Um, I think Christianity really delves into that. It's like, we just aren't good enough, you know? But I can help you. Um, yeah, pretty much. Like Jesus, he says, um, that we're not good enough. You know, we just can't do it on our own. You know, I think that just makes so much sense that we need someone to help us. Uh, yeah, I don't really know what I'm talking about anymore. I kind of just, I have no idea. But I hope it made some kind of sense. I really, if you want like some biblical content and stuff, read, you know, Sermon on the Mount or something. Watch this guy, I Am Beggar. I'll put his link. He's amazing. He's just amazing. Um, I love that guy, dude. Again, I don't know him or anything. I just I think he's doing great things. So that's gonna end the video. I hope you may have learned something. I'm not really sure, but see you.